accepting Prabhupada for who he is and not for who we want him to be. By now, you all would have noticed that the Hare Krishna movement is a broad church. On one side over here, you perhaps got the more kind of conservative, traditional devotees. And then over here, you can find much more kind of liberal, progressive devotees. And of course, there's those in the middle as well. All of us need to get better at accepting Prabhupada for who he is. In Christianity, we'll often hear a Christian say something or state a belief, and they will find something in the Bible that backs it up. And then you'll find another Christian who will say something that sounds opposite to the other Christian, but also can find something in the Bible to back up their particular belief or theological persuasion. Those of us that follow Prabhupada are almost exactly the same. We might say something if we're on this side that sounds a bit kind of conservative and traditional, and we will find a statement of Prabhupada's that backs that up. Over here, those that are much more kind of liberal and progressive will say something, and we can also then find something that is a statement of Prabhupada that backs it up. All of us, whether we are more kind of conservative or whether we are more liberal, need to accept Prabhupada for who he is. Personally, I would position myself on the more kind of liberal, progressive wing of the Hare Krishna movement. That means when I read statements of Prabhupada's, when I read Prabhupada's books, when I hear Prabhupada's lectures, where Prabhupada's perhaps sounding a bit more kind of conservative or traditional, I need to accept that. I need to accept that that is Prabhupada. Those are Prabhupada's words. That is the art of surrender, isn't it? Surrendering or submitting, which isn't a word we often use these days, isn't always easy, but that is the art of surrendering. To surrender to a guru, to accept them for who they are. And that's the challenge for each and every one of us, that we need to accept Prabhupada for who he is. We need to accept the whole Prabhupada, not just the parts of Prabhupada that make us feel good, that make us feel better. We need to accept all of Prabhupada. Even there might be some statements of Prabhupada's that you find a challenge to accept, but we need to accept the whole Prabhupada. How do we do that? How do we learn more about Prabhupada? How do we surrender to Srila Prabhupada? We read his books to get to know the whole Prabhupada, the parts of Prabhupada that are liberal and progressive and inclusive and tolerant, and the parts of Prabhupada that are conservative and traditional and really much based on the rules that we need to follow. We need to read Prabhupada's books to accept the whole Prabhupada. We need to accept Prabhupada for who he is and not for whom just we want him to be. Hare Krishna.